Em Nguyen, a painter, a photographer, and inspiration to the art community in Sioux Falls, where she owns and runs the Art Collective, providing local artists with a function to highlight and showcase their creative work. Keeping it real, here is Em. So then going back to the Washington Pavilion thing, I remember looking at your recent Instagram posts, and I really liked the comparison because Brenda, I love her, she's my friend, and I saw how you chose, what was that event again? It was an event to show inspiring artists in Sioux Falls for Washington Pavilion, was it?
Yeah, I got asked to be in the National Geographic Inspiring Makers Women's Show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I ended up choosing my mom as the focus of it, the subject, and then I chose Brenda as a memory of the young girl that she used to be in her aoyai.
Yeah, I really love that comparison. The comparison between innocence and youth, and then the maturity and just all the hard work and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then something that I really appreciate too was that picture of your mom. You could really tell how much time she's dedicated in her life and just the people around her and the environment. I thought that was really inspiring too. And then I remember reading, so you came here from the States from Vietnam when you were 2.
Mm-hmm.
So was it just you and your mom and the rest of your guys' family that came here?
So my dad was sponsored over with my uncle. So my uncle was half American, half Vietnamese. Oh. So then there was a program at the time where if you had any American heritage,
yeah, that was our mom too. Yep.
You could come over here. So then he claimed us as his immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
So then we came over here, and my dad chose Sioux Falls, South Dakota, out of all the locations we could have picked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I remember growing up and being out of all places, so why would you choose Sioux Falls?
100%. I felt the same way. I'm just why did you choose here? And he ended up choosing here because he said, well, he grew up in Gum Me, and he said Gum Me was very similar to this place, and he liked how small town it was, and he felt like it was safe and not too big. And then I'm just this place is so small.
I know.
But then fast forward to I met my partner, and he's from Ipswich, which is 30 minutes from Aberdeen, and it is so much smaller.
Right. Yeah.
Teeny tiny, and I was well, I guess Sioux Falls looks way better than this place. I could not grow up there. It was 2 blocks and you're done with Ipswich.
Yeah, no, I agree. I used to complain so much to her how small Sioux Falls is and how we lack diversity. Mm-hmm. And then you go 15 minutes away into Beresford or Vermilion or whatever, and oh, never mind. I think it's not as bad. It could be definitely improved.
Yes.
But it's not as bad as I think.
Yeah, it's slowly growing, but it's always strange when I think about Worthington and Sioux City and how much more diverse it is, and especially the Vietnamese population compared to Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very sparse here. It exists, but it's definitely sparse. So it's weird that these other places I consider are smaller,
right,
are just more denser. It's kind of interesting that that's just how it ended up being.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then, does your dad also work at Sullivan too? Did both of your parents work at Sullivan?
My dad worked at John Morrell's. So his first job was John Morrell's, and my mom's first job was Sullivan's, and they just never left. And then 2019, when the pandemic hit, they put off workers that were over the age of 60, so my dad qualified for that. And then he ended up, he had really bad plantar fasciitis, so then I got him a doctor's note that got him out of working for a year. And then after that, he just couldn't go back. After being off for the pandemic and off for his foot, the idea of going back was horrible. So then he ended up going back just for a month, and then he just retired early. He's I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't get back into this hamster wheel.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much just what happened. Then my mom just kept on working the whole time through the whole pandemic, and now she's also technically getting laid off, so the company closing. So
yeah. And then, did you guys ever visit Vietnam when you were? Did you ever get a chance to go back to Vietnam at all?
Yeah, we went back so we came here when I was 2. We went back when I was 6, and then we didn't go back again until I was 20. And then we haven't been back since then.
What was your experience like? Because I have never gone to Vietnam before. So what was your experience like when did you guys visit, because you said, did you guys visit your parents' hometown and then explore them? Well, what was your experience like?
Yeah, we went to their hometown. My mom has 7 sisters, so we kind of bopped to all of their houses. And then my dad has 2 sisters, so we went there too. And so we're kind of scattered all over the place. And my experience was that you cannot be naive and be trusting to people because of the situation that's over there. Some people will always take advantage of you. So that was one of the lessons, to never shop alone. But I mean, I really enjoyed the country. It's very beautiful, and I enjoyed getting to meet like family. We're the only ones here. Like, I don't have any cousins. I don't have any like aunts and uncles really. So it was really nice to just see like such a wide range of different family members that I never got to meet. But there is always that disconnect, though, because it's like they're pretty much strangers, you know? So it's like that weird feeling like you're my family, but I also don't know you. And then, like, I don't know if I can trust you because people always have, like, different intentions, you know? Because I kept on getting proposition, like, a lot of, like, peer pressure, a lot of, like, manipulation to, like, sponsor them over here. But then I'm just like... I'm only like 18. I don't even know. Like 18, I think it was 18 or 20. I'm like, I don't even know like what that entails. So there was a lot of that persuasion, and so I felt like I enjoyed my time there, and I had a lot of fun, but there was also a lot of learning.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I get that too, because our parents also came, or my mom came here because of the whole American Homecoming Act as well. And I could always feel like there was always a disconnect from, like, my family to my family back in Vietnam. Because if you think about it, like, you're at two different, like, standpoints. Like, one got to go to America, the other one had to stay. So then you're at this, like, it's, like, almost like a guilt feeling you feel. But at the same time, it's, like, really, what can you do? Yeah.
Yeah, like that hopelessness where, like, you want to help the children in Gaza, but then you're like, what do I do?
Exactly.
That's how you feel about your family. You're like, I want to help everybody, but like, I'm just one person, and then I feel guilty if I will help one person and not the other, and like, how do you differentiate between that? Yeah. So then you're just kind of like, I'm gonna continue living my life because I already feel overwhelmed by that, and and that's how I feel, and that's how I think that's how our parents feel too, like that guilt constantly. The guilt is like, definitely a real thing. So that was part of like coming back there, and you know, you try to be giving, you try to do as much as you can, but then it's always disheartening to hear the real story sometimes, or like the real intentions behind some of these like interactions that you had in person with these family members. So,
and then especially with like our Vietnamese language too, like some of the things that are said or whatever can really be turned into like manipulation really fast. Like, I've always said how, like, I find the Vietnamese language so beautiful, but with it being so beautiful, too, like, sometimes, like, either, like, the dialect or the tone, it sounds like we're screaming at each other when we're not, or things can really get easily twisted right away. So it's a really, I totally understand when you say, like, the whole manipulation thing. Did your family, like, grew up in, like, the cities or, like, the small town?
It's small town.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think me is kind of like, almost, like, maybe the size of a little, like, maybe triple the size of, like, or Aberdeen. Yeah. Aberdeen's the perfect, It's kind of had, like, a little tiny zoo. It's a big little neighborhood. People are just selling, like, batteries or whatever, businesses out of their garage. But there's, like, really nothing. It's just, like, shacks and houses and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's where my mom is from. And that's also, my dad lived in a place similar then. So we weren't from, like, Hanoi or anywhere, or, like, Saigon City or anything like that.
Yeah. Does Vietnamese street food or Vietnamese food, is it way better?
I feel like Vietnamese food is the best. It's top tier. I agree with that. But it's hard to say because a lot of it, you know, is like kind of dangerous and sketchy to eat, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty good. You can always find like your favorite things that you could never find here. Like, I really like that one thing where it's like the corn is like translucent and then there's like peanut and sugar on it. I never hardly find that anywhere. I don't know how to describe to people. I'm like, it's a thing. I really like it. I can never find it. I found it once in California and then in Vietnam and things like that. But like, honestly, you know, if you're going for like Bung Bao Way, I feel like it's unmatched. But if you're going for like pho, I feel like you can find pho just as good in the U.S. A lot of the pho there is actually like very hit and miss. It's like
really?
Such like a, I wouldn't even order pho there. It's like some of the broth are so bland, and like the ones in the street like I have like flies in them. So it's like I don't know if I want to eat that and stuff like that. But maybe like jia or like things like that are pretty good.
Yeah.
Banh mi's. Banh mi's are solid. Those are really good almost everywhere I went. But yeah, honestly, I never had good pho there.
Wow. But, I'm such a big foodie, and I would go on YouTube and find like all these like Food Network shows or like traveling videos or whatever, and they always make it look so good. But now hearing this, I'm like, oh, this is maybe like a more like actual reality experience of it all.
Yeah, because it is. It's kind of a landmine because you're like looking, and then you also like have to make sure you don't get like deathly ill from it, because
right.
some of it's like really sketch. A lot of like, you know, and we all got sick. We were like pretty much sick the whole month. But I mean, we like just kept on eating it, and a lot of times this is that bacteria doesn't exist in your gut, so it kind of needs to like live there for an extensive amount of time. Sometimes even now when I eat mambruk, even at my mom's house, you know, if I only eat it 2 or 3 times a year, like my stomach kind of hurts, you know. So I'm just like absorbing that. But I feel like you won't be disappointed. Like Ben Sale, there's a really good Ben Sale. Yeah. So if you like navigate like through someone who also possibly is a foodie and they know the best spots, it's kind of like if you go to like I feel like almost if you go to any like Asian restaurant in Sioux Falls, I feel the exact same thing. Like out of the menu, there's probably like one good thing. Otherwise, it's just like horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to just go and try it all. But I probably would just skip the pho.
Yeah. No, that's a good suggestion. Yeah. And then so your main focus on your job then is, so you're an artist. So you do a lot of photography. And I've seen some of your photography with like Brenda, your senior photos. With Brenda's photos, I love it so much. It like captured culture, it captured her, it captured everything. It was just so beautiful. So what usually sparks your interest or inspires you when it comes to photography the most?
I picked up photography back in 2019, and I actually started it with my friends because we wanted to start a business. And I was like, yeah, I did this back when I was 20. I picked up photography, and I was doing portrait photography, and then I ended up having some bad experience with clients. And like I remember meeting this mom at like Cherry Berry. She was supposed to pay me like $300 for this. Like, I think I shot her daughter for, like, 8 hours. Like, it was insanity. Like, it was just, like, outfit change, location change. But at the time, I was so new. I was just like, that's fine. Just, like, take all my time. It's cool. We'll just go with it. Then, like, everything said and done. Like, I gave her the photos. And she's just like, I don't know. I just feel like these photos are not what we wanted. And, like, her hair is, like, not looking good. Which is, like, not my problem. And she's like, I just feel like I just want to give you $150. And I was just like, quiet. It was like Cherry Berry, all these families here. I'm just like, at this point, if you don't pay me $300, then I'm just gonna delete all the photos and we can just call it a day. Right. I'm like, I will take nothing, or you pay me $300. Right. And she's like, well, I like some of them, so I'll pay you then, I guess. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And I was like, please never talk to me again. Then I actually just like quit after that because I was just like, I'm just done. I shot her and her friend, and then like there's this weird jealousy that she felt like her friend's album was better than her album. I was just like, I cannot. I just want to do this anymore. It's horrible. I made enough money to pay for the camera, and I'm like, I'm just out. And then I was like, okay, let's do this together with my friends. I'm like, this would be good. You guys can help me with customer relations. I can just do like the actual photography part, which is the part I enjoy. And like all of us, there's going to be a video guy. There's going to be a person who like takes care of clients and do pricing and marketing. But then I was the only one that was like really like in it. And they were like in it, but they were like just a little bit in it. And then eventually I was just like, you know, I'm just going to go off on my own. They were like supportive of that. They're like, we're just really busy with our own schedule and our own lives. I get it. And so we all just separated everything. And then I continued on my own, and I really enjoyed it simply because I already was a painter. So I wanted to try a different facet of artwork essentially, and I also saw the benefits of learning photography to make like digital copies of my artwork. Right. So I crossed over to that, and then I kind of just went into it just to try something new because I felt like a stagnantness in my life where I wanted to experiment. And then I really grew to like it. I liked like traveling with people on their journey, like for Brenda's example. Like I really enjoyed getting to shoot all of her daughters, like Angela, Diana, and Brenda. So like being on this journey with these families through these like really high points of their lives, and like getting to capture these milestones essentially. And then like for people's weddings, like enjoying those days with them. Sometimes I like the best was like I meet couples and they want to take pictures with their dogs, so it's like so cute, and then it's like they're pregnant, then it's like their baby, right, then it's like their second, then maybe their wedding. And so sometimes I travel on those journeys with them all the way to their wedding, to like newborns. So it's always, I feel like that is definitely my biggest the biggest thing that makes me the happiest about photography, and then getting to capture different expressions. I remember when I was shooting photos, it's like you can really see into someone's like soul in a way when you take so many images of their face and the subtle changes. And like sometimes, I mean, this is like no hate to my clients, but sometimes I feel like sometimes people look really like evil, like a little menacing. Whereas like maybe that's like their inner, like their true facial expression. So I've always really, as an artist, to see like kind of through past the initial of like what people want to show versus what who they really are. Yeah. So it's like, Then I did boudoir photography. Oh, yeah. For a hot minute. I really loved that because I feel like women are really hard on themselves. And especially after you have kids, like you start taking less and less photos of yourself because you just like don't want these memories. But I find myself sometimes regretting like not having more photos of myself throughout my life. Like even me and my partner have been together for 10 years. I don't think I have like one full body picture with him. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I had that because I have like now I have no real memory of what I look like. Yeah. So then being able to do these photos for these women, I really enjoyed being able to like capture this like moment in their life where they look like this, and then like I know down the road they're going to look at these photos and they're going to feel really good about themselves or have really good memories of what the past was versus like this like fabricated memory of what they think they look like.
Yeah, you know? And that's such a beautiful concept too, because I feel like especially women, like it is so nice to be able to, as you grow, look back and be like and see like, oh, like there are moments where I was super happy, or there's moments where like I felt like a lot of emotions, and just be able to relive those through photos. So one thing about me I'm really guilty about is that I take way too many photos to the point where I need more storage on my iPhone constantly. It's bad. But like it's not even an excuse, it's the truth. It's just like having a bunch of memories and being able to re-look at them and be like, oh, I was so happy in these moments. Like it really does define a lot about like what I do in my life and the people I surround myself with. So I think that's a beautiful concept. What has been your favorite journey to go along with someone as you take these photos?
Oh gosh, that's so hard to say. I guess, oh gosh, I don't even know. There's so many good families and so many good couples that I've met throughout time. I guess if I really had to pick I would just pick Kimmy's family and all the senior photo girls. But it's hard to say. I really like them all. And with photography, like I'm not super, like I'm not like on top of like marketing myself. Like I hardly ever make posts. I am just based on like referral. So a lot of my clients are just like repeated clients. So I want to say like 90% of my clients, I've been with them for like since 2019, you know? Wow. So it's so hard to say. And usually I just lose them because they move. Otherwise, if they never move, I probably just take pictures of them for the rest of their lives.
But I bet that's a really good way to keep connected and grow really close relationships with them as well.
Yeah, because it's pretty rare that I will get a client that's not referred to me through another client. Like I think this lady who was really nice did reach out for me to shoot her wedding a month ago, and she just found me on my Facebook page, which made me laugh because it's like I think I have like 200 followers or something. Like it's not like a very like this is who you want, but she's like, you seem nice, I reached out, and I was like, that's so nice. So I mean it does happen, but it's very rare. Right. So it's hard for me to say who's my favorite at that point because of that. I love my favorite sets is meeting couples when they're in the dog stage and then meeting them again when they're in the newborn stage. Yeah. And I always like it because there's always like a dog, then another dog, and then when the kids come, the dogs disappear. Not the first time, but like by the second time the dogs are there, the dogs are at home. We just make a quick pit stop, take one picture of the dog, we call it a day. So this always makes me laugh. Yeah.
Do you see a lot of... Wow, I didn't even know my phone was on the table. Sorry. Do you see a lot of your heritage inside your work, too?
When I feel like I don't see a lot of my heritage, but I see a lot of my female perspective. Yeah. When I go into shoots, I am very mindful of the lady or the woman in my shoot. I always, like, in my mind, I feel like women, like I said, are very... self-conscious, so I'm always mindful of that, and like I'm very hands-on for my shoot. Like, I will move your arm where I need to move it, so that in my mind, I think this is how you would like to be portrayed in the image. So I try to be very mindful of that and very considerate of the women in the photos to have them be at the peak of, like, what I feel like they look like. And I feel like, yeah, I guess that's a little bit because I feel like Asian people are so critical. Like, constant, just like throwing shade like it is nothing. Like, I was just at the casino the other day and this lady's like, why is your mom so little, why are you so big? Like, literally, like, it was nothing. I'm just like, okay, bye, it was nice seeing you. So that's I feel like maybe that, like, I know how people might view someone very critically being in this culture. So I'm very like, let me help you, girl.
Yeah. No, I do realize that too. Like, Asian people, like, they are really quick to comment on anything appearance-wise.
Anything.
Especially your weight. I've heard that so much. Just like the other day, I was I was over at Brenda's house for bun sale, and her mom hasn't seen me in, like, the longest time. And she sees me, she's like, you've grown so much. You look so much more, like, I wouldn't say the term, like, she's just, you look so much more not skinny-like, and stuff like that. I'm like, thank you. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I should be thanking you or being like, okay.
Right? And then as you get older, growing up in this culture, you just, like, throw away these comments. You're just like, whatever. I'm like, it's just like, they just can't help themselves.
Yeah.
They really can't. It's just, like, ingrained in them. So it's just like, and I feel like that's, like, across just anyone, Vietnamese, Laotian, Cambodian, it doesn't matter. It's just like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there, and it's like in that generation, and then maybe our generation will finally break it, you know?
Yeah.
But then if our generation's like growing up in like Vietnam and all this stuff, they probably won't break it. It's like, it's whether you are, you know what I mean? Like, you have to very much like consciously like break it. Because even like my sister, she has 2 boys, and even though she wants to break it, like, parts of it still seeps out here and there, where she's just like, no, you're good, you don't need to eat late and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even if they're boys, you know, like, it's just like so like deep nuzzled in there.
Right. Yeah. No, my dad is the most perfect example for this because he has a big problem of judging anything that he sees or whatever. And then I always tell myself that because I grow up seeing this and I don't really like how he reacts, like, I'm never going to turn out like that. But then I'm like guilty of it too. I find myself sometimes like being a little too judgy or just critiquing things, and just like, it's just like in our blood, something really about it.
Yeah. It's like the worrying what people think and also being super judgy. Right. And it's just like, I guess like behind closed door, you're on the phone with your brother, you're on the phone with your sister, and you want to do that a little bit. Like, I guess it doesn't hurt, but yeah, it is very deep in there. Yeah. And that is something that I feel like Asian people, like other Asian people, like understand, you know? Like when you talk to other people, they're just like, they don't really quite understand. But once you're like submersed in that culture and it's just constantly happening, you're just like, you just don't get it.
I know. It's just like the amount of times that like I think that the things that happen in Asian culture are like normal to society, and then you go on society and you're like, oh wait, not everything is the same way. Like, we just had a conversation with another guest named Brock, who's also Vietnamese, and we were talking about how when you go into someone's house, you take your shoes off because that's like just how you were taught, like to be polite and stuff like that. Or like when you greet like older adults, like you don't ever refer them as their first name. And then you go in society and then you look all around you and then you're just like, oh, that's not really how that works. Yeah.
Which is like interesting you brought that up because I was just talking to my friends about this because like for Kimmy's mom, for instance, like I'm 35. I think Kimmy's mom is like 45. But sometimes I accidentally call her back. But she's not my back. So then I feel like really bad. So I'm like, I think you're go. Or G. I don't know. But
there's so much terminologies to refer to someone.
So I'm constantly calling these women back like I'm 18. And I'm constantly forgetting that I'm 35 now and I should not call them back.
Yeah. No.
Happens.
Same thing. Or even like when I'm like talking to like Brenda's mom too, it's just like when I'm referring to her to my mom, I'm like, oh, go. But then my mom's like, no, it's yay. And I'm like, how do I know the difference between go and yay?
That fine line of the age brackets, exactly. That's why I'm just like, and then it also depends on where you're at.
Exactly.
Because I think you would just call me G, or you would possibly call me go. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like 20, and I'm 35. That's why I'm just like, where do you begin that bracket of, But usually, luckily, none of the women have ever said anything to me. I think only one time someone's like, I'm not your back. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Or I think the most embarrassing thing is because I'm getting older now, like, I love being called Jade. Something about it just makes me feel so warm. But, like, my little baby cousins or whatever, they'll sometimes call me Go, and I'm like, I'm not your Go. I am way too young to be anyone's Go. Or just, like, when I'm out in public and when I was little, like, people my dad's age would call me Gong. Mm-hmm. But now whenever I'm in public and I'm by myself, because I'm older, sometimes they call me Em, and I'm like, that makes me feel so uncomfortable.
You keep calling me
Gong. You keep calling me Gong.
Call me Em.
Yeah. That there's just so terminology when it comes to referring to different people, especially the more older you get, the more confusing it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I will never understand it. Or even when it comes to, like, families. You know how, like, so my mom's side, since my mom's the oldest of the family, it makes, like, all of her sister's kids younger than me, even though they're not younger than me. But because she's, like, the older one.
So they want to call you Yi?
Well, no. So, like, my cousins, they would call me, like, I have a cousin that's the same age as my brother, like 30, but she would refer to me as Jade. Even though I'm younger.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's just like I will never understand how different family dynamics or all of that stuff works. It just I will never get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then, I 100%. As you get older, it totally does get more confusing.
Exactly. And then you try explaining it to a white person, and you're like, oh, I really don't know if I want to get into it.
And they're like, I don't even remember girls' names. And you're like, yep.
Yeah. It's just, and our family generation too, like family trees are just so big. It's so much, yeah.
I feel that because like the family in Vietnam now, like those kids have kids, and like some of those kids have kids.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
You can't keep up.
Yeah.
It's just, you meet someone, you're like, oh, if you tell me you're related to me, I'll believe you.
Yeah.
You probably are related to me somehow, some way.
That's why I feel like this next time when we do go back to Vietnam again, it will be very overwhelming because there's going to be so many. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes me and my sister talk about going back there and just having like a vacation, but like not seeing family, you know, just like going to Vietnam, staying at a hotel and just like being a tourist instead of being on the family like hello train. Yeah,
I will never understand that. Did you ever watch The Sympathizer?
No.
I think you should. I think you would love it a lot. But there was so the author, his name's Viet Thanh Nguyen, and The Sympathizer was first a book. And I remember I was watching, I keep bringing this up because it's just so intriguing to me, but I was watching one of his book talks that he was doing, and he was saying how he feels like going back to Vietnam, he feels so disconnected because he's American, but he's not American, but he's Vietnamese, but he's also not Vietnamese. Because you feel so disconnected from everything because you're one thing, but you're not, you just never fit in. Yeah. And I feel like if I were to ever go to Vietnam, I would feel that way too. Do you get that same experience?
Yeah, I do. I feel like a lot of people, I heard someone speaking about this, about a Korean guy who was just like, I go to Korea and I'm rejected, and I go to America and I'm rejected, and I have like no space. And I'm like, yeah, you're in the in-between space. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and especially growing up here in the Midwest, you definitely like, people are nice, but like they're Midwest nice, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, but you know, when we went to Rapid City, they're not Midwest nice.
Oh,
like,
they're
Rapid
not.
City does not like Asian people. We went there. I never felt like that, like right away. I'm just like, oh, that's weird. I've never felt that. I've lived here for like 33 years. Like, Sioux Falls has always been Midwest nice, and like Rapid City is just like looking at me like, why are you guys here? Like, we don't want you here. It was like at a gas station. It was so crazy. I was like with my 2 children and like my partner. I was just like, that's weird. But yeah, so I was like, I totally get that. And then in Vietnam, like, you stick out like a sore thumb. Like, everyone knows you're not from here. And they're going to be like, how much can I get you to pay for this item you want to buy? Or how much am I going to charge you for this? I remember I bought like a water bottle, and my aunt right away was like, how much was this water bottle? And I was like, it was this much. She's like, okay, you're lucky you found someone nice that didn't overcharge you, because you're really lucky you didn't pay more for this water. And I'm just like, yeah, I never even thought about that. So I'm just like, so I definitely feel that. Yeah. And it's kind of like you never really shake that feeling And I don't really think that feeling will ever go away. And I feel like sometimes people who are like half black, half white, they've spoken about that same feeling where they're like rejected from the black community, but not accepted into the white community. So they're just also, so yeah, there's like this big like margin of displaced people where it does feel like isolating, but it's definitely like, I know in my mind that it's not like we're not alone, because there's so many people who are like that, essentially our generation, the millennial / like next generation will definitely feel that, because there's like more mixing.
And what I think I am pretty proud of about my generation and our generation right now is that we're getting really open to just accepting who we are and embracing who we are too, which I think is I have conversations with this with my brother all the time. Like, I remember when I was younger and I first started kindergarten, I wasn't really like, I just saw everyone as like people. And it was just nice, and I didn't see like what you were, as your color of your skin or your culture. Like, to me, you were just my friend. And to me too, it was just like, it was not about judging other people. So then growing up and then meeting like people who are like my dad's age, my mom's age, and then seeing judgments being thrown around, or just like as you grow up and different people parent differently to their kids, just seeing like different racism remarks, or just microaggression. I learned that word the other day. I was so proud of myself. It was kind of heartbreaking, because then you just kind of sink back into reality and you're just like, well, I'm always going to be the minority, but at the same time, I can just embrace that, because that's just who I am.
Yeah, you just gotta accept it as you get older, and you're just like, I move on. There's like, I was talking to James, as my partner, about there's like this influx of Asian men in this area that are killing themselves. And I don't know if it's from like the feeling of isolation, rejection, but it's like happening quite a bit. I've known a lot of people who have taken their lives in the last couple of years, these like men who seem very happy with their lives, and then they're all of a sudden gone. And like, I have 2 boys, so I tell them all the time, I don't really know if I want the boys to grow up here down the road, because I don't want them to feel like this level of rejection and isolation, like my brothers kind of felt it in a little bit. And even like finding a partner, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I feel like they settle because they are not like the 6'5", like that sound bit 6'5", like trust fund blue eyes guy. They're not that. So then they are, so I'm just like, there's like that, conversation that's never quite had it. And I feel like if you live somewhere, even like in the cities, you're not going to feel that way. But because you live here and you're like the only Asian guy in the group, or you know what I mean? And so I don't know. It's definitely, I think about it quite a bit, because I mean, right now my son's 7, my other son's 1, so I have some time, and I feel like they're not really affected in elementary school, because they have the same perspective as you. Like, these are just my friends. Everything's even middle school is still like, my boys are my boys. I'm not like fully into girls. But then high school comes, and then it's like, trying to feel accepted, trying to fit in, trying to be something that you're like technically not. And then also, it's also sad sometimes when you meet Asian people that are completely not Asian anymore, and they're like 100% white, and you're just like, what happened to you? Like, did you not have any friends to help you like know who you are? Because like, when working at the bar, like sometimes I meet Asian guys where they're like 100% white. They are like the bro white dude. I'm like, you have lost disconnection to your culture. And so those are kind of some of the things where I'm just like, it's a fine line of, like, I don't want to stop you from assimilating, but I don't want you to forget. But then, you know what I mean? So it's like, how do you even navigate that? I don't know. I feel like figure that out later.
There's some like Asian guys my age that I meet. I don't want to say I'm embarrassed for them, but it's embarrassing to hear them like be so, what's the word? Like, so disconnected from their culture, because you could be talking about something about your culture, and then all of a sudden like they'll act like really ignorant people and either make like racist remarks of the rest of the crowd, or just like it's just I honestly think heritage is a really big, important part of our identity, and it's a really important thing for you to stay connected to, because you find out a lot about yourself that way, and you find out who you are and your personality. I don't know. It is really disheartening to see.
Because like, I've met some Asian men that like married white women, which is 100% totally okay, and then I talk to them, and then I remember one of them told me, they're like, I don't like Vietnamese food. I'm like, what? He's like, I only like steak and potatoes. I'm like, what? You don't like anything? He's like, no. and like anything. And I was just like, what? That's insane. I'm like, that's crazy.
I'm sorry, but I can't go the rest of my life eating American food. I have to have some sort of...
Something. I'm like, you don't even like pho? He's like, no. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's weird. With me being such a big foodie, I honestly think I get that from my Vietnamese heritage too, because in Vietnamese food, there's just so much seasoning and so much spice like that. And, like, it makes me want to try new things to see what else is there. American food, I rarely crave, if I'm being honest. I mean, burgers, fries, hot dogs, those are nice sometimes, but give me something spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, even though Vietnamese food takes more work to make, it's definitely worth it. I mean, American food's like an easy, like, out if you're just hungry and you just want to eat. But that's why one day, I feel like we were just talking about how long my mom's going to live. She thinks like 20 years. I think like 40 years. But I'm just like, when you're gone, I will miss your food. She's always making like Jack Gaff from scratch.
Yeah.
So she's always telling me like, it's easy. It's easy. And then she goes through it and I'm like, that doesn't sound easy at all, Mom.
Yep.
Or like Ben Kung, all these things. And like, I'm just like, that... you just keep making it. And she's always, But the funniest thing is that she's been making, like, baving from scratch. All these things from scratch. And she's like, it's so easy. And I was just like,
that
no,
sounds
it's
just
not.
like our mom.
You know what's easy, Mom? Putting frozen pizza in the oven. That is easy. Not, like, putting 3 different kinds of fish and blending it and seasoning it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I was actually having a conversation with my friend the other day saying how Vietnamese food, it takes so long to prepare, but it always turns out, like, perfect. Like, homemade Vietnamese food is where it's at. It's because it just, you scared me. You also lost my train of thought. Vietnamese food is, like, it takes so long to prepare, but if you think about it, it takes so long, but it's that ounce of, there's so much love and, like, memories just being made while you're making the food, and that's why it tastes so good. Because to know, like, I don't know. I remember, like, countless times growing up, and my mom would be making, like, bowls of pho, and it takes her, like, the whole entire day. But if it's taking long, you know it's going to taste good.
Yeah, and you have to, like, gather all the ingredients.
Exactly.
I feel like that's the most taxing. It's just, like, every little ingredient. You're like, go here, go here, go here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm like, it is a special treat. And I feel like when my mom does pass, like, well, I'll have to figure out how to make some of these things. We can't just, like, let it go to the wayside. Because, like, no disrespect, but all the Vietnamese food in town are kind of terrible.
Yeah, no,
I actually don't really like any of the Asian restaurants in town except for, like, Sushi Masa. And, like, Oshima has some good stuff. Yeah. That's about it. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, like, Lamb's is, like, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's, like, super overpriced.
Are they even Vietnamese?
I don't know. I think they are, but they use a lot of MSG. Yeah. In their pho. And then I really like, you know, the owners of Pho Quinn, but not super great experiences there. Yeah. Very hit and miss. Their hot pot's good, but they won't always give it to you. It depends on if they're in the mood to make it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And then I don't know. Yeah, I've tried almost every Asian restaurant. It's hard to say. I wish we had. I think the problem is that a lot of Asian restaurants that open up in town, they're not from that culture, which is fine. You don't have to be. Yeah. But they also try to, like, fuse in all these other like, cultures into one, like Pho Thai. Like, are you Thai? Are you Vietnamese?
Exactly. That, like, I was so confused when they opened too. I was like, because we went there one time, and I'm like, they gave me a bowl of pho, and I'm like, this is not pho. This is, like, something, but it's not.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what's going on? Then, like, so that's why I'm just like, it's also mid. I mean, you can find pretty decent stuff in the cities, but it's still, like, combing through, trying to find some good spots. Like, we go there, like, twice a year, every year for, like, a food tour, and we finally have narrowed down some good, like, solid spots, but it, like, took years.
You're going to need to send me a list of that, because I'll be up there next month.
Oh, yeah, I will. I'm like, it took years of, like, going here, trying a bunch of stuff, going here, and then finally, like, now we have, like, some of the top tier spots, but but at least, like, they have options. Yeah. Like, we don't even really have options. Technically, like, 5 of the restaurants, I think, are exactly the same. They're just in different locations.
Yeah. No, I will say, because, like, Ramen Fuji and then, like, the Oppa Chicken or whatever, and Pho Thai, they're all owned by the same people. Yeah. they're just opening up different restaurants and just putting different food in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I heard there's a Korean barbecue coming. I don't know where. That hot pot place that opened up by the old Fuddruckers building.
Oh, yeah.
I had such high hopes for them, but then they like kind of like super half-assed it. Like when I went there, they had like a freezer where the items were in there. They had enoki mushrooms, so I'm like, props to you for having this at least. Like I ate a lot of enoki mushrooms, like a lot, because I love it and it's expensive. But other than that, like the broth was just like tasted like nothing but oil. So yeah, you know,
that sounds about right. That was our experience too.
Yeah, just like. I had to put so much sauce, but then I'm just eating sauce, essentially.
Yeah. See,
so.
my aunt, she would, like, sneak in her own seasoning or, like, her own spices to put inside the hot pot.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just like, that's why at this point now I'm just like, I need to just learn how to make this stuff because it's way better at the house than at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the point it's gotten to.
Yeah. So we are wrapping up pretty soon, and then I did want, I know what that look is.
So sidetracked on so many different things. We never even circled back to some of the things.
I'm sorry. This is girlhood.
Yeah,
That's how we talk. But so we are wrapping up pretty soon. But before we wrap up, I wanted you to share a little bit about your Washington Pavilion showcase you have going on this week.
Yeah. So I started the art collective back in 2010, and I left USD. So I went to USD, and I went to SCSU, and I went to SMSU, and then I went to university for 3.5 years, and then I left. And then at the time, they had like a No Child Left Behind still. Was it like a thing back then? So then I never, like, I guess in my sophomore year, I was supposed to take this exam in the fall that, like, essentially was the ACT all over again to show that I can, like, stay in school. I'm just like, I'm already paying for this. Like, what are you going to do? Like, boot me out because I failed this test? Like, I was so stupid. Anyways, so I left for the spring semester because I got a chance to go to Vietnam and Korea.
Yeah.
So I went there for a month. So I just, like, I left school. Then I went to go back, and they're like, oh, you have to take this test. So then I took a semester off, and then, like, fast forward, I'm 35 now. I never finished.
School's such a scam.
Like, cool. And then it was like, oh, spring's here. Oh, no, fall, I have to wait again. Oh, spring's here. That kept happening over and over again anyways. So then I was just kind of like putzing around doing nothing. And I was like, I have always enjoyed drawing. So I started painting, and then I did an art show. And then I had the idea to start this art show that if like 5 or 10 of us come together and we have 5 or 10 friends maybe, then there'll be 50 people there versus like these like solo cafe shows where there's like, you know, like you can't keep on making your friends and family buy your artwork. Like there's a point where it's like they've had enough. You're gifting it on Christmas. You're giving it to their birthday. So you can just keep making them buy it.
Right.
So I'm like, there has to be another way to like generate more guests to come to these shows. So then that's what started it. And I started at Lucky's Bar, and we like moved the bar tables around, and then I moved to Icon Event Hall, and we stayed there for like 4 years, and that was such a beautiful space, and they were so wonderful and accommodating to us. And then the Pavilion approached me to move the show there, and it was kind of like, even though I loved the show at Icon, the Icon show could only house like 45. Like one time I put 66 of us in there, but we were like stuffed to the brim. Wow. And so for the Pavilion show, it allowed me to have at least 71, and we could hang on the walls, and we get like gallery lighting. So I'm just like, I have to move. Like, I love you guys. It's just like a no-brainer to move to this space at this point. So then I think this is our 4th show at this space, and it's like the best. I will always stay there unless they kick us out, which I don't see them. They wanted to do a show because there's like a disconnect. I was in like the art conference there a little bit. There's a disconnect of like, this is where they have like this group of artists that are like always showing there, but they're not like necessarily local. They're just like famous in like the Midwest. Yeah. So there's a disconnect between that and like upcoming local artists or like local artists. So they wanted to do a show kind of like the Collective. So instead of just doing a show like the Collective, they just approached me to see if I would do the show there. And they've been so wonderful to work with. And so we finally moved there, and I feel like it's very successful. I think like on the counting clicker thing, like 3,000 people come through in the 2 days.
Wow. That's great.
I do a little bit of investment. I pay for like the ads for it. I'm the sole runner of the show. usually the show, like, sign-up starts and, like, it fills up within, like, anywhere as fast as a day to, like, a week, and
That's
the
great.
show is maxed out. I really wanted to give a space. Essentially, why I started this is because I wanted to give a space for artists who have never been in the show or in any show at all, the space to be in a show and not have all the pressure on them, and also a chance to, like, meet their community and to be exposed to a wide range of essentially clients on all this different base of, and then also to learn from other artists of, like, setup, because, like, I've mentioned before, like, to see an artist show it their first time and see their setup, and to see an artist show it even their third time, like, as they build, they polish they, like, know how to get prints, they get, like, some stands, they, like, get some stickers. I've had, like, numerous artists do a show for the first time and they're so wildly successful that by their third show they quit their job and they're full-time freelancing.
That's great.
I've had, like, 2 in the past. I've had, like, women who, and it's also, like, I guess, like, a lot of my journey is I love supporting women. I mean, like, no hate on men, but it's always just nice to see women, like, find something. Like, I had this one artist who, she was, like, in her late 50s, and she was just, like, doing this for fun. But she's like, there's no way anyone's going to want it. And then she was, like, wildly successful. She's, like, doing it full-time freelance. She's, like, selling out. She's, like, traveling to the cities, selling out. And it's just, like, this, like, rebirth of, like, almost a new life, like a new, like, I don't know what word I was thinking of, but just essentially a new journey for her that she, like, never foresaw for herself. So it's always really nice to, like, be there to facilitate this, like, possibility. And then also it's a good tester for yourself, like, if you think you can make it, or if you do this and it's just, like, not your cup of tea. I do the rate to get in is very cheap. It's just $50 for both days, and then you just bring your work. You keep 100% of everything you sell. And so a lot of times vending in Sioux Falls or in this area is kind of getting a little bit harsh for the artist, to say the least. Like, a lot of shows are based on percentages, which I feel like almost every artist I talk to hates. They hate taking a percentage. A lot of people just want to know, like, how much am I getting into, so I know how much I need to recoup, or the vendor fee is like $150 or $250, you know, and all these things. So I try to keep it so that if you want to give this a go, it will come at very little cost for you. I mean, just give it a try, see what you think.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my main, like, goal for the show, is just to always keep it like that, so that new artists are always getting to test out. And I feel like ever since the pandemic, there's been an influx of creators. More people want to try a different path in their life and see if they can, like, leave their job that's, like, draining their lively, like, their making them feel depressed. So it's ultimately, like, kind of like a mixture of all those things is what created the art collective, and now we're into, like, 14 years strong.
Wow,
you know?
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys have a show coming up this week too, right?
Yes, and so we have the show coming up this week, Friday and Saturday, 3 to 9, 1 to 9. It's free. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
A bunch of artists do raffles, so they'll raffle off, like, some of them will do original, some of them will do prints, canvas prints. There's a lot of jewelry makers. Pretty much, like, you can find almost anything there, but they'll raffle off something, so you can go buy a raffle ticket. You don't have to be present to win. So it's kind of fun, and all the money that the artists sell for the raffle tickets, they keep for themselves. And so, yeah, it's just a really fun show. I hope everyone can make it.
Yeah, that's great.